Hey, welcome everyone to the podcast. Here we'll be talking to a lot of inventors and leaders in AI, what they are building in AI, and what interesting work they are doing. I'm your host. I'm the CEO of Future AGI. We help companies to build and test and improve their AI very fast. Today, I'm joined with Yash. He is the co-founder and CTO of Aina, and they are building something very, very interesting in product photography. So yeah, Yash, would love to have an introduction.
Yeah. Like in a nutshell, like Nikhil introduced me, like I'm Yash, co-founder of Aina, essentially. So a little bit background about me, probably first. So I graduated in 2018 from IT Delhi. Post that was in Goldman Sachs, 2.5 years, engineering itself. Then like started my startup journey, entrepreneur journey, where and was building a pet parenting app. Built that up around 2.5 years. Now it's in autopilot mode, achieved a certain milestones. We were awarded as one of the best app awards by Google Play. Learned a lot of
Nice.
different things from that first experience. So there are like thousands of things which you learn during your startup journey, especially the
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
So yeah. Then post that was in Zomato for like a short stint as a product manager. And yeah, during that time, till that time, like ChatGPT, diffusion models, all of these started
Hmm.
coming into the limelight.
Yeah.
And uh, the beginning of all of these models started happening during my college days, when like all of these LXNets and sorts of models had started
Yeah.
coming out for the computer vision. So that's where like my interest already had begun during the college time. I didn't pursue it because of certain reasons. The reason was a simple one. I kind of like became very curious into it. Was
Hmm.
working and training models during college. But have you watched Black Mirror?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So I watched Black Mirror and I was like, okay, probably I don't want to be part of this. And I literally stopped working
Yeah.
upon after that. But then,
Yeah.
like, I heard like one good thing in between
Hmm.
during my previous startup, which stuck with me, which was so whenever these kind of situations comes in your life, you always have two options. One, either you sit back and watch it happen, or B, you gotta go and be
Yeah.
part of it and be in a position to be able to do something about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that really struck with me. And like when this ChatGPT and diffusion started coming in again, that's like kind of like kindled my curiosity again and started kind of working upon it again. And that's
That
where
was
like
like a wow moment. Like it opened so much possibilities, right?
and that gave me the comfort as well. Ki, "Haan, yeah, that makes sense. Yes, matlab, so much is gonna happen. I can see that. Like, yeah, probably I should be doing something about it. Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, that's when like started kind of like started experimenting
Hmm.
with different models again. And I remember like all of that time, like there were like a lot of image models that were coming out. So I was
Hmm.
wondering that okay. Uh, uh, they can create anything out of the blue, but
Yeah.
what if we were to create, let's say, Nikhil sitting on a beach or Nikhil riding a horse? That was not
Yeah.
possible. So that
Correct.
curiosity led me to create a side project wherein you can put up like 10 to 15 photos of yours,
Hmm.
and yeah, like using those, now you can create any photos of yours.
Yep.
So that was the starting point there, and that led me to thinking, okay, probably this is something not like a startup or like a business idea. Why? Because in the long run, it would end up becoming like a free feature in all of these Meta and Googles of the world, right?
Yeah. It's now becoming as well. I think.
They have
Yeah.
started offering it. Meta is providing that already.
Yep.
So that's where like started thinking more deeply into it. Okay, what could be the possibilities? Started thinking, okay, probably most of the B2C things will be taken up by the bigger giants itself.
Yeah.
So started thinking into B2B lines there and came up with the thing, okay, what if in an online scenario, I could try out the garment
Hmm.
on myself before buying it.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that came out. Okay, virtual try-ons is one big thing.
Yes.
Probably now that is possible. So
Yes.
yeah, that's where like we kind of quickly started shifting to that. Key, okay, let's quickly make an MVP of that,
Hmm.
and we went ahead started talking to some brands, and they were pretty excited about it. And
Oh, okay.
but the thing was, deep down within ourselves, we knew to make it production ready, it will take at least a year. It's already been a year.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
almost there now. But yeah, so we were like, okay, it will take a year. So there and during those conversations with those brands, a constant pain point came out. Okay, this is good. We'd start using it when it's ready. Could you also do something about our photo shoots that are there on our websites?
Mm. Yeah.
And that pain point came along from multiple
That.
brands out
Yeah.
there. And that's where, like, coincidentally, like, my elder sister is a fashion designer, and
Oh,
so
okay.
she had done a lot of photo shoots during her college portfolio work, and I was model in them. So I had gone through the
Yeah.
journey what
Uh,
it takes to create 4 production ready photographs. So
mm.
kind of could relate with that pain point a lot, and we were like, "Yeah, okay, this makes sense. Let's go ahead and like solve for this." And solving for this is already leading us into the AI try-on kind of a thing as well. And that's how Aina began, and like my journey shaped up. And the rest of the things, like we raised funding, formed the team, now training the models and doing everything. So that's how it all
Nice.
started. And now, in a nutshell, if I were to kind of like tell about Aina as a overall thing,
Mm.
so think of it that way. Like, everybody who is selling online, so they have to go ahead and make their customers experience their product,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Now, for experiencing the product right now, there are like very few things which exist out there. Okay, as a consumer, you would see the
Yes.
images or videos or some meta tag and description and everything, and that is what we help brands with. Okay,
Yes.
how do we help you to make your customers experience the products the best way possible?
Mm. Mm.
Now, that starts
Yes.
with images that, okay, till now, your photo shoot experience, like the photos that you put up on the websites. So that is something you had to kind of get professional models, makeup artists, hairstylists,
Correct.
photographers, take them to a particular location, do a photo
Yeah.
shoot.
Yeah.
Very messy, time consuming, and everything. And therein, essentially, it was like once that photo shoot is done, it's done for life. You can't
Correct.
do much about it. It will decide the fate
Yeah.
of the product. It will sell like crazy, or it will go down to zero.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
That's where we come in and help you now generate those photo shoots using AI in minutes, help you kind of like optimize those to increase your conversions as per your audience. And going forward, we'll be helping you even make your customers experience the product on themselves, like an AI
Correct.
trial experience, which will be
Correct.
launching soon as well. So
Yeah.
that's like Aina in a nutshell. Took a
Yeah.
bit of time, but yeah.
No, 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 no. I
Mm,
I I think it's like truly a Gen AI application because you're unlocking so much things. Because let's say think about the vendors who are like B2B small vendors who cannot afford all these things. Think about even large vendors. So they have so many SKUs so that they want to have that and like they want to have it on exotic locations and everything, right?
mm,
And it's even as you said, like it's like one time done, like and yeah, you are done. And there's like so much you have to spend on that. You have to spend so much on the whole team, and it's just not open doors for the big companies. But if you see like small vendors, everyone of the product right now can go online and actually now sell, and even like small product, and they can just have massive photo shoots that they can have the creativity is the limit actually now, right? So basically, whatever they can think of, they can add into that. And yeah, even like you guys are right now in, I think in fashion. So maybe just maybe how the videos will flow, and videos are the next crazy thing, right?
definitely. That's what
Yeah,
we're working on next, like integrating those workflows to kind of like have the videos as well as a capability. So that's what. So
correct.
it's just a different file format or different format. The ultimate thing is how can we enable brands to make their customers
Mm.
experience the products best?
Yeah, yeah. So I think a lot of times also, my family member just clicks me the photo, how it is looking. They don't know how it is looking, but they take the pics, they take the selfies, and maybe the videos. And if like I can try that out and see, okay, how it is looking. Oh, that is like 10x experience, and in terms of in 10x even in the innovation that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
That's great. So yeah,
On
one of the yeah, sure, yeah,
so,
sure.
I was just saying, like, so on top of it, like, so it would happen in phases that at the outset, what would happen is you'd be able to see how's it's gonna look on me. Then
Yep.
the next phase would be you'd be able to see even how it's gonna fit on you.
Yeah.
wherein, okay, how would a M look on me versus how would a L look on me? So
Yes.
it will happen in phases, and it will increase your experience, and ultimately it would equate your offline and online experience. So it would be the same thing. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Okay, and how do you decide ki, okay, Gen AI actually can solve this problem because their Gen AI is very diverse, right? So, okay, you know what? Like, what is the gap in e-commerce space that stood out? Like, this is photography, but but how you decided that, okay, you know what, Gen AI can actually solve that a lot. What
Hmm.
was that thing? You know what? Let's take this thing and apply to the e-commerce space. Yeah.
Right. So that starting point was that itself, that so Gen AI was there. We were like experimenting here and there and figuring
Mm.
out. Then we landed upon like, okay, this experience of photos as such in terms of photo shoots, or even like I want to try it out as an AI try on.
Mhm.
So that experience till now is completely broken in terms of, so it's being done manually right now. Now whatever is being done in terms of technology, everything was being done using 3D or AR or those
Yes.
kind of things.
Yes.
And which, if you were to see, has a long history. There have been companies since like 8 to 10 years who have been
Yes.
working on this. And I'd say, like, touch wood, we were lucky to be happening to be there at the right time with the right mindset and the right resources. That all of those companies which have been there have been kind of like burning resources, but or with no outcome. But with Gen AI, with these diffusion models, now it is becoming possible to kind of like create photorealistic outcomes, which kind of like are acceptable and are like production ready.
Okay. Okay. And so, how are you different from, let's say, the existing tools, like, let's say, OpenAI and image generation tools, right? So, I think people would love to know that because let's compare, okay, you know what images are generating, but they don't really know the technology behind it yet.
Right, and that's like what happens with like people who don't who aren't into it. They're like, okay, this is what Midjourney also does, that also does. So that happens with
Have you
us.
have you gotten these questions when you're like pitching your product as well, or like to the
Yeah,
customers?
definitely.
Okay.
So customers would be like, they're not using those products, but when we are pitching to them, they're like, वो भी तो exist करता है. Then we are like, okay, आप वो use क्यों नहीं कर रहे? But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's another
Okay.
thing. The key differentiation there is, if you were to think, all of the image models that are out there, so they create new things out of the blue.
Mm. Yeah.
They don't know what a sweater from Zara looks like, what a
Mm.
lingerie from Clovia looks like.
Mm.
And that's where we come into the picture, where we are kind of like going at taking those models,
Mm.
adapting them to this particular domain, training with
Yes.
huge data set, and now
Yes.
making them capable of taking that product and integrating into the AI world as per the brand's requirement.
Yes.
And that is something which is not like a core requirement, or like a core functionality which comes out of the box of any of the foundation models. And that's where we are creating those compound models to be able to do that.
Got it. This is yeah, fashion is so diverse, So as you mentioned, Zara, there are a lot of watches brand, and there are like clothing apparel brands, as you said, maybe caps, maybe, and just so many clothes as well, right? So how are you guys actually targeting this whole diverse designs? Like so many designs, like will be coming and over there. So the space is so diverse. So how do you guys, are diversify, handling this diverse section of in this global market? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So this is a very good question, and like a good problem that we were kind of solving. And like, so if you were to think like how to think about that. So now you have to train a particular ML model, right? Now
Yeah.
you want to kind of like make it capable of uh, solving for, or like creating images for all of these different categories out there.
Yes.
So you have to train for each one of them. So now the problem at hand was, okay, what do we train for first?
Yes.
Now, what do we train for first? That was a simple two attribute problem. That, okay, two things will be deciding that, okay, what do we train first? One is the market size, which corresponds to the market volume. That, okay, what is the requirement in terms of the photo shoots for that particular category? Then second was the ease of doing it. That,
Mm.
okay, let's say if something is there which has like a moderate volume, but in terms of technology will take a lot of amount of time and expertise to
Mm.
like do that. So
Yeah.
probably not the first one to pick up because
Yeah.
you would want to go ahead with the low hanging fruits first, right? And in our case, both happen to be in our favor. That okay, all of the Western wear that is there, like shirts, t-shirts, trousers, pants, and all of these simpler garments, are the most voluminous ones. Like voluminous as in like they have the most volumes out there in the market. And in
Yeah.
addition to that, they are the ones which kind of like are simple as well, relatively. So that was a way to kind of like go ahead and like target. Okay, these will be the first set of categories we'll be going ahead with, and like so on and so forth. We'll be covering the rest of them.
Got it. So basically, you had like on the one axis the volume, and on the other axis how people are using it as well. So like these were the two axes, and then you choose, okay, you know what? How many products are there? Like the maximum products will just choose this category. Okay. Oh, nice. Cool. And how do you, choose key, what, like, let's say how the user experience looks like on your app, and how are you taking decisions, key, because in Gen AI, people are right now habitual of just one, let's say UI, right? ChatGPT UI of chatting and everything, right? So how you're taking these UI decisions? Because I have seen a lot of guys talking about like let's redesign a lot of things and how it will play out. But what are your user experience, key points that and how you are approaching the user experience in your app?
All right. And I'd say that's like a very big thing which is coming in everyone's way that, okay, with AI, essentially, you have to think from fundamentals about all of the things because it's changing the user experience of the user interfaces so drastically. Uh,
Yes.
like if you were to kind of just mold the current applications to support the current one, that won't work. Like that won't be the
Yes.
best experience possible. So that's where, like, to think about the UI user experience, we got to go to the fundamentals, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
Uh, we understood that okay, how does it happen right now? So when we say right now, so what's the current process? The current process of photo shoots is that there is a styling person who kind of like goes ahead and decides upon the collection's theme. When you say theme, so it has two, three components. Okay, what is going to be the background, what is going to be the relevant models, and what is going to be the props and everything. So they
Yeah.
decide upon the theme. Once they've decided upon that according to the products, they'll go ahead and like coordinate the whole shoot where, and okay, they'll do it manually one by one. They'll coordinate everything, the photographers, models, makeup artists, hairstylists, and everything that gets done. And they kind of like complete the complete collection, and then they do the QC and select the best ones and go ahead with that.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to think from this fundamental that this is a current process, and with AI, we are automating most of it. But there are certain key inputs and outputs here. What? Which will still require. What are those? We'd require that, okay, what is a theme that the stylist will look at in the AI
Mm.
photo shoot? When you say
Mm.
theme, again, the same components, okay? What's going to be the background? What's going to be the model? What's going to be the props? So they have to decide upon those.
Yes.
So those are three key things. Then you have to go ahead and like give the product. We need to have like the know the product to be able to generate photo shoots. So that's the
Yes.
base images of the products. So these are the key inputs. Now, if you were to think from the again fundamentals and user experience point of view, okay, a brand, a stylist person comes in. They upload a bunch of images of their products in a collection. So they create a
Yeah.
collection, upload a bunch of images, then goes ahead, experiments with certain styles that okay, this background versus that background, a combination of this background and this model, and so on and so forth. There is a library of models, library of backgrounds, library of
Mm.
props. Now
Mm.
you can go ahead and like club each one of them and experiment
Mm.
what's going to be the right theme for your collection. Once you
Okay.
have that, you go ahead and like apply that theme and generate photo shoots for all of your products directly.
Is it something like, you're customizing your player in a game?
Uh, kind of, yeah.
Okay, like I was just
All
able to
these games
visualize that, but
playing.
yeah. But very interesting, yeah. So basically, nice. Basically, you got the okay, well, how the current process looks like. Let's translate to the Gen AI, and yeah, that's a fantastic approach. I can see a product manager out there. Nice. So yeah, I think So, what's the biggest problem in terms of tech that you faced while developing Aina AI?
Hmm. I would say that's one common problem which all of the Gen AI players would be facing, and that's the problem of accuracy, right?
Mm.
So all of these models, A, are stochastic, and you got to kind of train them enough to kind of like take their stochasticity to a level below a certain threshold that each output is
Yeah.
in production ready format, right?
Yes.
Now you can't go ahead and like just wait for your models to become perfect to take it to production. Otherwise, it will
Yes.
be too late. You'll run out of resources, or you'll not get enough feedback to be able to think, okay, what's happening right now? Where are we? Where do we stand today? So, therein the biggest problem is that accuracy itself. Now, uh, okay, how do we go ahead and like uh, solve that chicken and egg problem of okay, how much accuracy and are we able to serve the brands or not?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
and that is, I'd say, would be the case with everybody. Like all of these newer models getting released, so some people are like, okay, it's so amazing. Some people are like, it's shit, and like every kinds of views are there, right? So that totally depends upon okay, what is your personal use case, and is it accurate enough for your use case, for your usage? And that's what we also did essentially. That okay, we defined different use cases and we defined different target audience. That okay, there are these different kinds of brands, and these particular brands requires higher accuracy. These particular
Yes.
brands require relatively lower accuracy, and they're fine with that. And that's where we went ahead and started targeting those particular ones and started going live with them. But okay, let's go ahead live with them, take more and more feedback. Meanwhile, we are improving our accuracy further. So that's like one big thing which we kind of like were facing and like have been kind of like solving for bit by bit and like increasing the accuracy bit by bit.
Got it. Got it. I think we had this conversation that you coined this term to us, that you were telling me, and our viewers will also love to know that, like ML market fit,
Ah,
right?
yeah, right.
So yeah, would you like describe
Yeah.
that?
So that is something that good that you remind. That was amazing. So essentially, uh, something which I realized over the past journey as well, that so as I was telling right now, right? So you gotta kind of like go ahead and like build your accuracy bit by bit, and like keep on serving the brands. So that's where what happens is once you're starting up. So essentially, your accuracy would be at a level wherein it is not productionizable for anybody. So
Yes.
therein building out a product, giving it to the users would just sway away the users and like they'll be like, okay, it's not working.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
it's a plain simple thing that we
Mm.
also got like a little bit in terms of our MVPs, but
Mm.
would happen like with all of the use cases. And we'd have tried out several products ourselves as well. That
Yes.
we went ahead, tried out certain product, it doesn't work, and we went away. So I talked to a lot of like folks. You were also there, right? Like one person like gave that talk of how to go about it, like in a incremental manner. So there, and the best way to go about it is essentially you go ahead and like initially do it in a services manner. That okay, you got to figure out till a certain point and work with the brands, giving the output directly to them, not giving a product directly. So not
Yeah.
building a product till a certain point in time, because if you build the product, the feedback becomes broken and like brands don't want to use it. So what you got to
Yes.
do is you got to build out the internal versions. You got to take the inputs from the brands, work it out yourself, and give the outputs to the brands.
Yes. Mm.
Now, in this phase, what happens is, so this is something which I call pre-ML market fit phase. So in this phase, essentially, what happens is you gotta figure out you figure out okay, what's the right thing, what's the not the right thing, and which way to go very fast because you
Mm.
know the best thing how to kind of navigate it. And
Yes.
once you have reached that ML market fit, uh, then it's probably the right time to go ahead and build out the product. So earlier, the journey used to be problem market fit, product market fit, and then the GDM like scale. Now, in case of Gen AI, it's problem market fit, ML
Yeah.
market fit, product market fit, and then you're scaling.
Correct. This is like very interesting proposition because since these models are inherently, stochastic, you don't know how they will perform. But okay, I know they won't perform good, but they're performing something like they have some output and it is usable for a certain market segment. And as you rightly said, like for top brands, like they want the highest accuracy because the price tag of one product is very crucial, right? But for a for the other market segment, the case can be very different. So, but there is always a market segment that how applicability of that product is, because let's say few brands might not, don't want like everything to be super perfect in their product, but they can still use it, right?
Mhm.
For example, let's say we had in the starting the ChatGPT, when the first version of ChatGPT came,
Mhm.
even when the coding was assistant was not that great, but it was usable,
Yeah.
right? And we were getting so like good results, and it was like yeah, okay, fine, I can use it. So yeah, I think this is a very great value proposition around it, like, and the way to see it. Probably the people who are building and thinking, okay, what they can build it, and and about the accuracy. So I think this is one of the things also we learned, and have seen people also doing it. So basically, okay, yeah, okay, how stochastic the system is, and for whom it is applicable to, right?
Definitely.
So for example, let's say if you're creating something called like self-driving cars, then you need the accuracy to be very high. You
Yeah.
cannot have you cannot have just the edge cases,
Right.
even, right? But if you're building something else which is not that critical,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, you can have even less accuracy in terms of system,
Mhm.
but still it works and people are loving it, right?
Right.
So yeah,
And that reminds me of the other biggest hurdle, or like as a challenge which we are facing, which is essentially evaluation of these models. So where, and like in case of image especially, and like in text as well. So if you were to think, it's really difficult to kind of like evaluate these
yeah,
models, because there's not much uh, metrics or methodologies that exist
exactly.
out there, right? And probably, yeah, that's where like probably future AGI and like
Yeah,
your thing comes in, who's kind of like coming to the rescue and helping us out in those
correct.
roots.
Absolutely. I think that was one of the things, that I actually resonated with your problem, that, in my last startup also. So a lot of funny incident because AI doesn't perform well, right? So we developed a system where we were detecting crimes, right? And it classified a guy just goofing around as fighting, right? So yeah, so become taking AI from just an AI MVP, or just a concept to production is really hard. And I think you guys are doing a great job in that, like working very close to the customers, getting that feedback, and then slowly taking it from there. And evals. And I think one of the also major part is how can we, because when we scale these applications, then you cannot have a big human factor in between, because I think that take your cost, I think, to like 5 to 10x, right?
Mhm.
So if you have to, at the scale, you have to bring those things down. As you said, you can start at the service layer, but you have to become a product,
Yeah,
right?
that is
Yeah. That's I think very great. So how are you guys got started with the training data of it, right? From the brand and everything. So how was that phase look like?
Mhm. So the initial journey started with like some of the open source data sets itself. Like there are like 2 3 open source data sets amounting to like around 50 60K kind of like data set. Those are not commercially usable, some of them, but still we started kind of like training the models that, okay, meanwhile we get the proprietary data, let's just start training these models, because again we won't be able to reach production readiness like in a month or so, right? So it will take time. So we can switch the data set afterwards. So that was a thought process there. So we started with the open source data sets. Then over time, as and when we started serving the brands, so we started forming brand partnerships with them. That, okay, we're going to be helping out with these things, and we would like a favor there, and we would want to have the data set which you already have in terms of your previous images to be utilized for training. And therein, it's just being used for training and train the model once. So essentially, we are not kind of like kind of like using your designs as such particularly, which kind of like there's no kind of like hindrance to any IP or anything there as well. So uh, next thing was that yes, we were getting the data from the brands, and then the another thing which we started doing on the way was we realized still we need kind of specific kind of data for our training, wherein let's say a combination of that same garment laid on a table from the front, from the back, and the same garment being worn by a human in different poses. So
Yeah.
that's the level of the data that we required. And that's where we realized early on that, okay, this is going to be very difficult to get even from the brands, because
Yeah.
no brand in general was doing photo shoots like this, because that was not a
Yes.
requirement for the e-coms or like any other
Yes.
online place. So that's where
Yes.
we started our 3D journey as well early on, and
Oh,
started
okay.
getting the expertise in 3D. And that's where we have created automated workflows to kind of like create bulk of 3D data, and with a granular control of types of
Hmm.
humans, types of garments, garment categories, within that different kinds of colors, patterns, and all the finer details even. And now
Nice.
helps us to kind of like keep on chunking the kind of data that we require from all the different angles, poses, and everything. And that's what is kind of like we are utilizing for the next level of training, that okay, we are able to provide all kinds of data which is required out there. So
Hmm.
all in all, there's like three major things: like one, open source data sets which are commercially usable; second, the brands data which you are working with; and third is the 3D data sets that we are like developing in house.
Synthetic, I think 3D data is kind of like your version of synthetic data that you guys are maybe generating.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. Would love to know your customer stories, maybe. Something like when you showed a demo to a customer and what was that their, maybe, and how how you have transformed their lives right now.
Yeah. So okay, that's a tough one. Like, which one should we talk?
There are many, there might be many, right?
Yeah. Probably let's talk about this one. Like, so there's this company Ace Turtle which handles like Lee, Wrangler. So we're working with Lee, Wrangler, Dockers, these brands. So I remember like having our first conversations wherein their cataloging manager, their head who's going to take the decision, like a couple of other folks in terms of styling and everything was there. So
Mhm.
right now they used to do all of their photo shoots in house,
Mhm.
and now once we started showing the demo that day, so early on it started with, okay, we have seen something, you can do something amazing,
Yeah.
we want to see it. So it started with that, and we had a call, and like we went there. So when the demo started, so we started showing the demo. Okay, so see here, you can go ahead and select the model. Here you can select the background. Here you can select the props, and voila, here's your output. We were
Awesome.
like, oh man, this makes our life so much easy, and like we can do so much more now.
Yeah.
That's a core thing, right? You would not want to spend your time, energy, resources in something as simple as this, where and like organizing all of those things. Now with this, with our tool, with our solution, you can be creating it in seconds with all the possible customizations. That okay, I want to be able to portray my brand on a certain ethnicity of the models in a certain background itself. You can do all of that sitting at home.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I said, like we can do so much. So I'd love to, just answer little unconventional questions. So people are just afraid like GNA will take their jobs. Right? What are your views on that? Yeah.
So that's a double-edged sword. So essentially, I believe like uh, it has both the sides. So uh, it's going to affect some of the professions for sure.
Mm.
But at the same time, if you were to think about the value that it creates so much more immense value out of it as well. That okay, now that each one of that individual person who was, let's say, doing X amount of work earlier, now can be doing 10x amount of work or
Yes.
100x amount of the work.
Yes.
So it's two sides of the same coin itself. That okay, how do you
Mm.
want to look at it? You can either look at it that okay, it's taking away my job, or again the same. I'll go back to the same thing. Or you can be looking at from the other angle that okay, now I can be utilizing it and be doing 10x more or 100x more. So I'd say it depends upon us itself, how we look at it and how we use these tools or like technology or solutions at our disposal and move forward with it.
Yeah.
And
That's
if
a
you were to think, uh, that has been the case with all of the possible technologies out there in the past as well. If you were to see the whole past, like with mobile phones, with internet, with laptops, with tech kind of like getting into everything. So all of the advancements or like uh, kind of the new age tech that comes in helps us become 10x or 100x. And AI
yeah,
is like literal 100x, which we can see. Yeah.
yeah, correct. So you talked about virtual tries, right? So it's kind of a personalized way for me to try go online and try products, right? It can be on e-commerce. It can be like it can unlock a lot of personalization out there. How do you see like Gen AI unlocking a lot of personalization experience online so that like maybe in any e-commerce or any other space what is your take like how will it look like let's say 3 or 4 5 years down the line.
Hmm. That's an interesting one, which I keep on kind of wondering about. What would be the that equilibrium state 3 or 4 years down the line? What would be the user behavior at the point in time? So I'll share like what I've been able to shape up in terms of my viewpoint till now. So how it would kind of like shape up is so essentially right now if you were to think there are like 1,000 products out there with each brand. But depending upon our physical attributes like your body type, your ethnicity, your even
Mm,
skin color, and all of these body type
mm,
attributes, there are only 50 which are relevant to your attributes.
yeah.
And that's kind of the job of a stylist in general, which they do because they know you like by looking at you. They can say, okay, this will look good or this will not. So a
Mm,
brand has 1,000 products, but only 50 other ones that are relevant. And then
mm,
you have your own preferences. Okay, I like probably yellow color or I
mm,
like white color. And so
mm,
out of those 50, you have like five as your preference ones, and then you buy one. So that's
mm,
the current experience that is there. From that 1,000 to 50, there's not much that is out there. Like
mm,
why?
yeah.
Because we didn't have any possibility to kind of like go ahead and like essentially be able to map out that algorithm and like figure out okay what's the physical attributes of a person and what's going to be the right for those 50 ones.
Mm,
Now with what we are doing, we would be able to help you get those 50 directly to you. So
mm,
think of it that way, a future view of the experience. So two ways it could be. So depending upon either you're an explorer, you want to kind of like browse and shop, or you are okay, I know what I want and just give it to me. So depending upon which ones you are, so you'll you'll be going to a particular platform. Let's say you'll search, okay, I'm looking for a kurta, and you have in mind, okay, for Diwali. So it will show the 50 relevant kurtas for your body type, for your physical attributes.
yeah.
And in addition to that, there'll be a 3D version of yourself
Mm,
there with 50 options out there,
mm.
wherein you can try out each one of them and you
Each
can
of them, yeah.
make yourself like turn around, walk, zoom in, zoom out.
Yeah.
That would all be in a Diwali setting with fireworks going on
Mm,
in the background.
yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So I think let's talk about technology a little more. Right. Would love to know how you guys are like, what are the technological stack look like, what kind of models that you're using, and how you guys are fine tuning that, and like the whole model thing and what type of models that you have in house.
Mhm. Right. So essentially, I won't be able to go into too much details for sure.
Yeah, that's right. little like overview, not like oh yeah, that's a IP that you guys have. But yeah, as much as you can shed a little light on that.
So I'll give you a gist into okay, how do we think about it and how to think
Mm,
about it. So if you think there are models existing of foundational models that are being built, which are text to image, which takes a noise and generates an image out of it with a text conditioning out there,
yeah.
right? Now, the task at hand that we are solving is okay, we have a source garment, and we need to generate a human with that particular source garment in a particular pose and
Mm.
background and all of those sorts.
Yeah.
Right now, essentially, that particular human and pose and all of those things can be given as an input as well. That okay, we know like okay, we want to do a try on Nikhil, right? So here our conditions become in addition to text that okay, Nikhil in this pose, this is Nikhil's photo, and
Yeah.
additionally this is the garment that you want to try on.
Mm.
So what we do is we go ahead and like take that base text to image model, we go
Mm.
ahead and like add tweak the architecture, give these images
Mm.
as conditioning as well, and
Mm.
train this up with a lots of data to make it adapt
Mm.
to this particular domain. That okay, you
Mm.
got to be creating Nikhil wearing that t-shirt as the output.
Mm.
So that's the core fundamental that we are doing. And yeah, at its core, we are using diffusion models itself. Now, DITs are the way to go. So that is something which we're experimenting with as well heavily. And we believe like DITs are the way to go. They are here to stay. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So, okay. So this is your second entrepreneurial journey, right? And you might have a lot of things to share. So, like, just few questions around that. Like, what advice would you give to the entrepreneurs looking to disrupt a niche market like e-commerce or anything like who want to disrupt the whole space with Gen AI or even AI as in general? Yeah.
That's a tough one. Like, so there is so much you gotta kind of like be able to figure
Let's
out.
say you have to give one advice, top thing that I've learned from this time. Yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe you can say you can go back and tell Yash, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yash, don't do this again.
So yeah, so that's one thing for sure. I'd say one thing which was there with me in my previous startup and here as well. So one thing which is for sure required very much when you're starting up or when you're working upon a startup or like doing an entrepreneur journey is you gotta be able to be passionate about the problem statement that you're working upon. The reason I say that is uh, you've been a multiple time entrepreneur as well. So yeah, like entrepreneur journey is tough. It's very hard.
Mm. Yeah.
uh, we can see all of the good stories out there on all of the kind of like media and everything like but we know like the journey that you have to go through. So essentially it's so tough that there'll be so many highs and lows would be so lows that you'd feel like giving up multiple times in your journey.
Yeah.
But then, if you are really passionate about that problem, you have lived through it, or you can relate to it, and you are like very much married to that problem,
Yeah.
you'd go ahead and like you'll come out and you'll be like, no, I got to do it. And that perseverance is like very much required, and especially if you are like first time, second time entrepreneur for sure, because you gotta be able to learn all those. So to make a startup successful, there are like thousand variables that you need to kind of like nail it to be able to kind of make it work or make it to the other side, like a
Yes.
$1 million outcome. Now,
Yes.
if you to think those thousand things, you got to be able to kind of like learn each one of them and make them perfect, and that requires a lot of learning, lot of humbling down, and
Yes.
lot of perseverance overall. So yeah, for that, if you are kind of like very much passionate about that problem and like you're stuck to that problem, and yeah, you'll be able to kind of like do it. Yeah.
And also, like, how are you balancing the innovation with commercialization of your tech? Right. So, as a tech or product guy, we're like, let's add this, let's add that, but like, we have to make it commercially viable as well at the same time. So, how are you balancing both of the stuff?
Right. Um, so if I get the question correct, that's more of like okay, we can be adding more and more tech, but then it becomes expensive in terms of commercial viability, right?
Let's say, as you talked about, right? So so you have this accuracy, you have this model which works good for let's say mid market or low market sector, right? But why not even to go for the top brands? It's even this market is so huge, right, in the whole world that I don't know like what's the market cap of that, but it's I think it's more than let's say $10 billion even in terms of that, right? Because just that just so yeah, why to go for even let's say big brands because you have a product which works for let's say small brands.
Mhm.
and then but still you guys want to go like for the higher brands. So what's the theme over there, and like how are you handling both of the part?
All right. That's an interesting question. And like, especially for Gen AI use cases, the reason being two, threefold. One, essentially, the pace at which the technology is evolving or like the newer things are coming up. So you got to be able to kind of like keep improving yourself
Hmm.
and disrupting yourselves. Otherwise, what would end up happening is there'll be a newer player coming in who would be at the next level. And
Yeah.
if there is not enough defensibility, brands will not think twice before switching.
Yes.
So we
Hmm.
can see that happening everywhere. Like we switch from Claude to ChatGPT to whatnot, like so
Yeah.
fast, right? Okay, now this is performing well.
Yeah.
In B2B, there is an angle of like uh, integrations and workflows and a lot of other things. But still, like if there is a 10x delta which other player achieves, brand would not think twice before switching. And therein also with AI, switching will also become easier. So gone are the days wherein you were using a SaaS and you were so much deeply integrated that it became impossible to switch to another
Hmm.
player.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
with AI, that switching will also become so much seamless. That
Hmm.
okay, you decide today I want to switch. You have an AI for that, and like tomorrow you are able to port to a different player out there.
Hmm.
So all in all, you gotta be able to kind of like keep moving ahead, and keep disrupting yourselves before somebody else and does comes in and does that. So that's like one key thing there. And yeah, and for doing that, uh, you got to be able to be viable as well for sure. It's not like you just need to be kind of doing R&D and R&D. So that's the tough thing about Gen AI, that okay, you got to be able to do the whole stack with equal focus, with full engines firing. What I mean by
Yes.
that is so there is R&D phase of ML wherein you're gonna keep on constantly innovating. Then the
Yes.
model is moving from here and going into the productionizing layer. You are creating the product, you are integrating that, and like that is keeps on evolving. And
Yeah.
correspondingly, you're selling it and like going very deep into the market. So all the stack, you can't kind of like stop anywhere. Like if you stop anywhere in this zone, it's like your startup is gonna see the end. Because if you stop here, then that means you're not able to make enough revenue, or like not able to sustain, and your R&D will have to stop you any which ways. So it's gonna be like you have to fire full on, like on the sides, and maintaining a balance definitely, that okay, yes, whatever is ready here, not just waiting, like pushing as fast as you can to the production. And also developing or like doing the R&D on things which are very fast to production, which are the
Correct.
most low hanging fruits. So that's why I say like Genia is the most difficult one. Why? Because it's a whole thing wherein you have to keep the whole end to end, like from GDM to sales to users to your product to your ML in one mind space, and be able to think, okay, what's the right way forward? Because if you don't have that, somebody else will come in, like will do a distribution better fast, or they'll develop the better do the better R&D, will create a 10x different better product and will disrupt the market, and you'll be here and there.
Correct. That reminds me, like, so your improvement cycle should be very fast. When you're developing that, your data layer should be very strong. When you're, let's say, moving from one model to another model, because models will keep on coming, right?
Yes.
And then yeah, then you have to be so fast in terms of how you're shipping your product, how you're creating a Gen AI application, and then how you're even monitoring that into your your production use cases, and then improving that. Yeah, yeah, cool, quite awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's where like everybody asks like, "What's the defensibility?" I really say it to everybody like the most major defensibility that I can foresee, which is like the sole undisputable defensibility, is uh, keep on disrupting yourself
Hmm,
while productionizing as much as you can.
hmm. Yeah, I was about to come on that mode question, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think will be like? I'd say like keep on innovating, right? So for let's say vertical. vertical applications in Gen AI, like what's gonna be that one defensibility or let's say moat that is it gonna be the innovation or it's gonna be like how tightly you guys are bonded with, let's say, your customers. So 10x improvements, I think, like comes very rarely in any technologies. As you said, like right now also you have incremental innovations in your NA application, right? So okay, you know what, this new model came with like 30% improved or
Yeah.
even 10% improved, right? But even you have those improvements, still little improvements. But customers might and might not be interested into that because you might make. So what do you think? Like, is it the tightly integration? As you said, like that might not be the case. But what is there your vision that for vertical players like you, what gonna be that moat?
Yeah. So it's a combination of both, I'd say. Uh, like, if you were to think, uh, tightly coupled integration, like the SaaS that has been there, is
Yeah.
definitely one thing. The
Mm,
more and more you can do it,
mm,
the better you're off by having like a high switching cost, and
mm.
the more and more distribution you will get for sure. So that's like one thing for sure. But I'd say that's alone is not sufficient. Why?
Mm.
Because you can do that, but let's say if somebody else by doing incremental innovations gets to, let's say, 100% better and is offering
Yeah.
the same price, then they would not wait before switching.
Yeah. Correct.
So it's a combination of both, wherein you have to go ahead and like get deeply integrated and distribute. That distribution is one thing, and
Yeah.
keep on innovating for sure as well. Like, just having one thing won't suffice at all for sure. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. True. So, like, what's your vision? Like, how do you envision the future of photography, and what's next for Aina?
Okay. So, in terms of future of uh, fashion apparel photography, I believe the future is going to be like that itself, wherein um, so you're going ahead and searching any particular product, and you're searching kurta, and there are like multiple variants coming up. It shows Nikhil wearing those kurtas in Diwali setting in that listing itself,
Yeah.
and you're able to kind of like right then and there decide, okay, which one's looking good and which one's not, and those are the most relevant ones automatically. So it will start with that and then shape up into, okay, you're able to see Nikhil moving, like showcasing you in Diwali,
Yeah.
celebrating
That's
Diwali
that's crazy.
with
Yeah.
friends,
Yeah.
and eventually into 3D models and VR essentially. Yeah.
Maybe like even with the family as well. Like I can see how they are playing. I can
Yes.
see that, visualize that. Yeah.
And on a parallel note, what would happen is there'll be a personal component of that. Okay, you have your own virtual wardrobe. It suggests you. So personally, for
Mm.
me, that's a big problem as well. Like, so it will suggest you, okay, today what should you wear? And
Mm.
for this occasion, you have these particular options. A combination of this would be good, and it would automatically suggest you wearing those particular things, and you'll be like, okay,
Mm.
this looks good.
I definitely want that. So how far do you think it's that?
So that's not that far. Like, so you'll have that initial bits like in a quarter. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh, great. I would love to try that. Yeah, right. And why don't you like tell our viewers as well, like how can they try Aina AI in their settings? Because I think it's a very, very, very vast problem that everyone might be having that. So why don't you tell that?
Yeah. So in terms of like how to go ahead and utilize Aina, so for the current thing, you have to go ahead and like essentially we have like an amazing customer success sales team, wherein if you kind of like go ahead and just check out our website, you can book a demo and like we can get on a call and like start essentially doing the POC. And going forward, like January and onwards, we are releasing a self-serve dashboard as well,
Oh,
where
great. Yeah.
it would be a SaaS tool, like just like Canva, Figma, where and you can go ahead and like check out, try out yourself itself, and like you can be utilizing that. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it was great talking to you. I love the conversation. Every time I meet, I just love that. I just learn two, three new things from you. And I just love the spirit of entrepreneurship from you. Yeah, it's just refreshing mine as well. But yeah, great talking to you, Yash. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Good to
Yeah,
talk with all the fellow entrepreneurs. Yeah, you get to
yeah,
share things and talk about those memories.
yeah, yeah. Thanks, Yash. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. Take care.
Okay, bye.